This is precisely the kind of performance the Lakers were hoping to see as they picked up their first Summer League win in Vegas. It was a full squad effort, highlighted by some eye-opening contributions from players who just might address the exact areas of need on the main Lakers roster. In today's breakdown, we're going to dive into this recent matchup, spotlight some standout individual performances, and evaluate how these young prospects could actually help the big club moving forward. What's up, everyone? Welcome back. We've got another big update here for all the die-hard Lakers fans out there. Before we get too deep into it, make sure you're subscribed if you haven't already. We're bringing daily updates all summer long, and you won't want to miss what's coming next. All right, let's get straight into it. The Lakers squared off against the New Orleans Pelicans in their second Summer League outing, and they walked away with the W. The biggest takeaway? A well-rounded team effort. From top to bottom, the roster played unselfishly, moved the ball well, and most importantly, clamped down defensively, making life tough for New Orleans on nearly every possession. Now, let's pull up that box score, because a few names deserve extra attention. Leading the way in scoring once again was Cole Swider, dropping 21 points and hauling in 10 boards. He went 4 for 9 from deep, continuing his strong shooting stretch. Bronny James added 14 points of his own, along with a pair of steals and some nice passing moments. Darius Basley turned in another quality performance with a double-double, 12 points and 10 rebounds. Big man Quentyn Kokoskov, in just his second Summer League appearance, impressed again with 13 points, 7 boards, and 3 blocks. Off the bench, Kamal knocked down a couple of triples en route to 12 points, while R.J. Davis chipped in 9 points and showed some solid on-ball defense. Simply put, it was a collective effort across the board. Contributions came from just about everyone in uniform. But beyond just the result, the Summer League is all about development, about identifying which pieces can genuinely elevate the Lakers' main roster. And a few of these guys are showing they might be ready to do exactly that. The team still needs help in 2 key areas: front court depth and perimeter defense. And several players in Vegas have flashed skills that align with those needs. With a couple of roster spots potentially opening up soon, especially with the uncertainty around guys like Shake Milton, there's now even more reason for the front office to pay close attention. Now let's zoom in a little further, especially on the front court, because the Lakers got some serious production down low in this one, starting with Darius Basley. He's been making noise all summer long, and while he's not your typical Summer League newbie, this will be his 6th NBA season. He's playing like someone who's determined to earn a real role. Standing at 6'9", with long arms and athleticism to burn, Basley continues to leverage his physical tools in a big way. In this latest game, he put up 12 points, 10 rebounds, 4 assists, 5 blocks, and 2 steals, stuffing the stat sheet and anchoring the defense. That kind of impact is hard to ignore, especially for a Lakers team that could use more defensive versatility in its second unit. What's notable is that Basley, due to his experience in the league, isn't eligible for a 2-way contract. If the Lakers want to keep him, they'll have to offer a standard roster spot, potentially on a veteran minimum deal. That could mean tough decisions ahead for the front office, possibly even moving off someone like Milton or Maxi Kleber to create space. And Basley wasn't the only standout. Cole Swider kept doing what he does best, shooting the lights out from long range. His stroke is as smooth as ever, and his scoring ability is becoming increasingly consistent. Kokoskov made a statement too, looking mobile, active on the glass, and disruptive around the rim. And of course, we can't forget Bronny James also had a few solid flashes during the game, but another name that continues to stand out is Quentyn Kokoskov. He was with the Lakers last year, so he already has some familiarity with the system, and that knowledge is showing on the court. Since LA pulled off the blockbuster to land Luka Doncic, Kokoskov has been adjusting to the changes, but his skill set could potentially complement Luka in key areas. Koko brings more than just size. His shot-blocking instincts and enormous wingspan have made him a defensive presence around the rim. But what might be even more valuable is his ability as a lob threat. He does a great job positioning himself for alley-oops and easy buckets in the paint. And with a playmaker like Luka feeding him, those chances are going to come regularly. The chemistry potential is real. Already signed on a two-way deal, Kokoskov is technically part of the Lakers roster, but with how he's performing, he might earn more than just occasional minutes. He's showing flashes of someone who could push for that third-string center role and possibly challenge for backup minutes if his development continues. That said, he still has a long way to go before he leapfrogs someone like Jackson Hayes, but he's definitely trending in the right direction. Koko and Darius Basley have been the standout bigs so far, but the backcourt has also had its bright spots. One guard worth mentioning is DJ Stewart. While his shooting wasn't sharp in this game, Stewart has been among the Lakers' most consistent Summer League performers. What separates him is his defensive energy. He's relentless at the point of attack, constantly pressuring ball handlers, digging into their space, and setting a physical tone early in possession. That kind of defensive tenacity is exactly what NBA teams crave from their rotation guards, especially guys trying to carve out a roster spot. Stewart's defensive work might not always show up in the box score, but it's the kind of effort that can leave an impression on coaching staffs. Between him, Basley, and Koko, there are clearly players in this Summer League group with real tools that match up with current needs on the main roster. And let's not forget, these guys aren't just auditioning for any team. They're competing for possibly one of just a few open spots on one of the most scrutinized rosters in the NBA. Even with a spot, there's no guarantee of minutes. It's a grind, and they know it. That's why the front office, led by Rob Pelinka, has to maximize these Summer League games. They offer a real-time glimpse into how these players operate within the team's system, not just as individuals, but in how they execute full-court pressure, rotate defensively, and make reads on both ends of the floor. And while the perimeter defense has been aggressive, there's still work to be done cleaning up the back end. That's where Basley and Kokoskov come in. Their ability to erase mistakes and protect the paint has become increasingly valuable. Basley's weak side help and Kokoskov's rim protection offer a potential solution to what the Lakers have lacked since trading away Anthony Davis. Whether DeAndre Ayton steps up as a consistent shot blocker remains to be seen. But if not, these two could provide some much-needed support off the bench. All eyes now turn to how the Lakers will finalize their roster. Will Basley earn a standard deal? Could Kokoskov edge his way into a more meaningful role? These are the questions Pelinka and his staff are working through. And while nothing is guaranteed, both players are making strong cases. Before we wrap up, if you've been keeping up with our content and haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? A full 79% of viewers aren't subscribed. If you want ongoing Lakers coverage, from trade buzz to player updates and in-depth game recaps, this is where it's happening. And one last thing, let us know in the comments. Do you think Basley deserves a full roster spot? Could Kokoskov climb into the backup center rotation? Do Bronny or DJ Stewart have a shot as defensive assets in the backcourt? Drop your thoughts below. That's going to do it for this breakdown. Thanks for riding with us, and we'll see you next time with more Lakers Insight. What if I told you the Lakers are just one move away from changing everything? That behind the scenes, Rob Pelinka is quietly building something, and names like Marcus Smart, Matisse Thybulle, and even Bradley Beal are all part of the equation. In today's video, we're breaking down the real strategy behind LA's offseason, why the bench is still a massive concern, and what could be coming next. Should they wait for a buyout? Should they go all in on a trade? You're about to find out everything the national media is now saying. And trust me, the ending might just surprise you. Stay locked in, hit that like button, and let's dive into what could be the Lakers' most important summer move yet. On today's episode of NBA Today, the panel broke down a major development involving the Los Angeles Lakers. A new report just dropped, revealing what's being called Rob Pelinka's master plan, and it's centered around a specific target that could reshape the team's off-season strategy. With trade chatter heating up, the cast explored exactly what this report means moving forward and what the next moves could look like for LA. As things continue to ramp up for the Lakers, the need for roster upgrades is becoming more urgent. Everyone on set agreed. A trade is no longer a question of if, but when. The team is clearly preparing to strike, and recent intel points to one particular direction. The conversation kicked off with a fresh report from Brett Siegel, who noted that the Lakers are actively searching for a defensive-minded wing. According to him, LA is expected to pull off a deal by the end of the month, with the front court now settled, featuring DeAndre Ayton, Maxi Kleber, and Jackson Hayes. The attention has clearly shifted to shoring up the perimeter. The NBA Today crew then revisited the Lakers' original plan. Early in free agency, it seemed like DeAnthony Melton was their top target. Reports suggested LA was positioning itself to bring him in, but that path has cooled significantly, with Mark Stein now reporting that the Warriors are in the lead to land Melton. It's a twist that forced the Lakers to pivot, and fast. Now, the focus appears to be on available wings in both trade and free agency. The panel listed names like Andrew Wiggins, Matisse Thybulle, Marcus Smart, Herb Jones, and Ayo Dosunmu. But the spotlight today was clearly on Marcus Smart. While breakdowns on Wiggins and others are still to come, NBA Today highlighted Smart as the most realistic and impactful name available, especially after a new chain of events unfolded. Michael Scotto recently reported that the Spurs traded Malachi Branham, Blake Wesley, and a second-round pick to the Wizards for Kelly Olynyk. On the surface, this may not seem to concern the Lakers, but as ESPN insiders explained, that trade pushed Washington over the roster limit, forcing them to make another move. And that's where LA comes in. Smart, now with the Wizards, could be either bought out or traded. And the Lakers are closely monitoring both possibilities. The buyout scenario would allow LA to land Smart without sacrificing assets, while a trade could still be an option, depending on Washington's direction. Either way, the NBA Today team emphasized the opportunity. The Wizards have no leverage, and the Lakers might be in the perfect position to pounce. As the NBA Today crew continued their discussion, the panel shifted its attention to Marcus Smart's uncertain future in Washington, and how it could directly impact the Lakers' plans. According to the hosts, it's becoming increasingly clear the Wizards don't view Smart as part of their long-term vision. While no use might be a stretch, it's obvious Washington is prioritizing the development of their younger core, and Smart's presence might actually limit that growth. Paired with recent chatter from insider Anthony Irwin, who linked the Lakers to Marcus Smart, Matisse Thybulle, and Ayo Dosunmu, the buzz around Smart's availability has only intensified. The panel agreed LA has options. If rival teams jump into the race and put together serious trade packages, the Lakers might have to respond in kind. But if Smart's situation turns into a buyout due to the Wizards' overcrowded roster following the Olynyk deal, the path for LA becomes much simpler. And that's when the show took a moment to reflect on Smart's recent performance. Though known for his defense, the panel brought up his production over the past couple of seasons. The former Defensive Player of the Year had a solid 20-game stretch in Memphis before landing in Washington, where he averaged 9 points per game last season. His shooting has been inconsistent, but he did manage a decent run during his time with the Wizards. Still, he wouldn't be brought in for scoring. The focus would be his elite point-of-attack defense, something the Lakers desperately lack. The conversation then turned to a hypothetical trade scenario. If LA can't land Smart via buyout, a deal involving Gabe Vincent, Maxi Kleber, and a second-round pick could work. Since Smart is on an expiring $21.6 million deal, matching salaries is key. Sending out Vincent, currently the team's backup point guard, and Kleber could balance the books and slot Smart into the same backup role. But there's hesitation. Would Rob Pelinka want to move off 2 rotation players and a second-rounder when draft capital is already thin? The NBA Today crew debated both sides. Some felt a trade is practical and would immediately upgrade the team's perimeter defense. Others argued that LA might be better off waiting to see how the market shakes out. Still, the ideal scenario remains the buyout. No picks, no outgoing pieces, just a clean signing. While not guaranteed, The situation is developing in LA's favor. The Wizards may not want to keep Smart long-term, and the Lakers could be the perfect landing spot. The discussion circled back to Rob Pelinka's recent success in capitalizing on unexpected opportunities. The panel brought up how DeAndre Ayton became available out of nowhere and was quickly scooped up by LA, a major win. Similarly, the addition of Jake LaRavia was a calculated move, but now it's time for more. Whether it's Smart, Thibault, or someone like Herb Jones or Andrew Wiggins, the Lakers have options. It all comes down to how aggressive Pelinka is willing to be. Everyone agreed on one thing: with the right defensive addition, this Lakers roster could take a serious leap forward. To close out the segment, the NBA Today panel took a moment to evaluate the current state of the Lakers roster, and the picture isn't entirely reassuring. The bench depth, in particular, was flagged as a major area of concern. One of the hosts raised a pointed question: is Gabe Vincent truly reliable enough to be your primary backup point guard? That remains a big unknown. They also spotlighted Jake LaRavia as someone the team is clearly betting on to provide scoring off the bench. There's cautious optimism there. And Dalton Connect? The hope is he takes a leap forward. Assuming, of course, the front office doesn't move him in a deal, but everything feels like it's in flux. The conversation turned once more to the team's limited flexibility. While it's true the Lakers aren't completely empty-handed, they still hold their 2031 first-round pick, 3 future pick swaps, and of course, Dalton Knecht. The panel emphasized that these are key assets. Burning one of those just to acquire Marcus Smart, even as a defensive upgrade, might be a stretch. As the show wrapped up, the analysts debated the smartest path forward. Should LA be patient and hope for a buyout, or jump ahead of the competition and make a move now? There's a good chance other teams will enter the race if Smart becomes officially available, either via trade or free agency. Before signing off, the hosts encouraged fans to sound off. What would you do if you were in Rob Pelinka's seat? Would you wait and see? Or go all in now? And with Summer League heating up, they reminded everyone to keep an eye on the marquee matchup: Bronny James versus Cooper Flagg, one of the most anticipated games of the summer. That wraps it up for now. Stay tuned. This offseason could still have some surprises left for Lakers fans. On today's First Talk, the Lakers are back in the headline, and this latest report might just be one of the biggest steals of the offseason, if it goes through. According to sources close to the situation, Los Angeles is ramping up its interest in a potential sign-and-trade deal for a versatile guard. And let's just say, this could fly under the radar, but not for long. So here's what was brought up during the segment. Quentyn Grimes is the name being floated. Not exactly the most expected name when talking about Lakers rumors, but the panel brought some solid insight. Grimes, only 25, showed flashes last season with stretches where he looked like a legitimate scoring option, both starting and coming off the bench. The First Talk crew debated a proposal originally discussed in league circles: Grimes to LA in a package that could include Dalton Knecht, Gabe Vincent, Maxi Kleber, and Shake Milton, with Kelly Oubre Jr. possibly joining Grimes on the way to the Lakers. At face value, that looks like an aggressive move by LA. But let's be honest, it might be smarter than it looks. From a basketball standpoint, Grimes brings exactly what LA has been lacking on that second unit: a punch of offense and a willingness to defend. One of the panelists pointed out that while his stats, 14 points per game last year, might seem a bit inflated depending on the system he was in, they can't be ignored. He was efficient, aggressive, and showed enough off-the-dribble creation to suggest there's more upside left to unlock. Another key part of this deal: it would be structured as a sign and trade, reportedly for around 4 years, $22 million, a price point that was described as sneaky team-friendly by analysts on the show, especially when you consider what other rotational guards are getting paid in today's market. Now the potential loss of Knecht is significant, and there was some back and forth about whether or not Hachimura should be included in any deal. Most agreed. Rui likely stays put. The Lakers aren't eager to give up that much just to land a scorer like Grimes, but a Knecht plus assets framework? That's a lot more realistic. Of course, All this came with speculation about the Sixers' willingness to engage, especially if they can pick up young talent and balance their cap. It was noted that Philly may ask for a future first or a swap, but the Lakers still appear to have enough flexibility to get something done if they really want to. And let's not forget the wild card. Kelly Oubre Jr. joining Grimes would give the Lakers an even greater spark off the bench, particularly in transition and spot-up scenarios. Both players are capable of creating their own shot and could provide immediate depth for a team that's eyeing a serious playoff run. Bottom line from the panel today? If Rob Pelinka and the front office can pull this off without parting with Hachimura or a top-tier asset, this could quietly be one of the better moves of the offseason. A depth-focused, financially sound play for a team that's trying to compete without blowing up its roster. Back on First Talk, the conversation heated up as the panel dug deeper into the potential acquisition of Quentyn Grimes by the Lakers. Now, what made this segment so compelling wasn't just the trade mechanics, it was the debate over whether Grimes' recent production justifies the rumored asking price. The discussion centered around Grimes' dramatic rise with the Sixers. When handed a larger role during a stretch where Joel Embiid and other key pieces were sidelined, Grimes thrived. He averaged 21 points per game, played 34 minutes a night, and essentially carried the offense. But, as the analysts pointed out, context matters. Philly was missing key offensive weapons, and someone had to step up. Whether that level of production is sustainable in a reduced role on a contending team like the Lakers is the real question. Even so, the panel agreed. If Grimes can contribute 10 to 15 points per game off the bench, it could be a strong addition for Los Angeles, especially considering the Lakers' bench has lacked consistency. From that angle, the potential sign and trade deal becomes far more appealing. Then came the financials. According to reports discussed on the show, Grimes is looking for a deal in the $25 million per year range. However, the Sixers have reportedly been hesitant to meet that price. The Lakers, on the other hand, are rumored to be exploring a 4-year, $22 million offer, slightly below Grimes' target, but still a healthy payday for a 25-year-old player with upside. The show highlighted how such a deal could align well with the Lakers' timeline. Grimes would add youth, shooting, and scoring depth alongside established stars, and, depending on his development, could even push for a starting role if his defense improved. One analyst brought up an intriguing connection: Grimes' prior experience with J.J. Redick. The two worked out together during a Team USA minicamp in 2023, before Grimes had his breakout stretch in Philadelphia. Redick reportedly praised Grimes as an easy guy to coach, and the chemistry between the two could lay the foundation for a smooth transition to the Lakers. Beyond the basketball fit, the front office side was also a topic. The panel made it clear Rob Pelinka is working the phones and watching the market closely. If Philly continues to resist giving Grimes the payday he wants, and if LA is willing to absorb it, there's a very real window here. And that brings us to the asset exchange. Most agreed that if the Lakers could pull this off without giving up Rui Hachimura, it would be a win. Dalton Knecht, salary filler, and maybe a second-rounder or pick swap seems to be the package gaining traction in rumor circles. From Philly's perspective, that's a reasonable return for a player they may not want to pay long-term. Roster-wise, this would address a clear need. The Lakers' starting lineup is solid, but the bench remains a concern. Gabe Vincent hasn't made the impact many hoped for, and while Jake LaRavia adds intrigue, he's still unproven. Max Kleber, Bronny James, Jordan Goodwin, there's potential, but a lot of question marks. Grimes, meanwhile, has already shown he can score in bunches and could develop into the kind of two-way threat LA has been missing. One of the panelists closed with this thought: pairing him with someone like Luka in the long term, or plugging him into a LeBron-led roster now, adds significant versatility, especially if the Lakers can secure him on a manageable contract. The takeaway? This might be a rare chance to buy low on a player with high upside, and with J.J. Redick in the building, the fit could be smoother than people realize. Wrapping things up on First Talk, the Lakers continue to make moves, not just on the trade front, but behind the scenes as well. One low-key but potentially impactful development brought up by the panel today was the hiring of Justin Robinson to the team's player development staff. Robinson, who most recently served as Director of Player Development at Duke University, is the latest addition to the Lakers' growing internal infrastructure. While this isn't the type of move that grabs headlines, the show emphasized just how meaningful these strategic hires can be for a franchise building through youth and depth. For context, Robinson had been with the Blue Devils since 2023 and played a role in guiding 3 players into the lottery in the 2025 NBA Draft. That track record doesn't go unnoticed, and his transition to the NBA comes at a time when LA is placing an even greater emphasis on internal growth. The panel highlighted the value of adding someone from a program like Duke, one that consistently churns out NBA-ready talent and demands accountability at every level. Beyond the resume, there's also the legacy. Justin Robinson is the son of Spurs Hall of Famer David Robinson, and that basketball DNA, combined with his development experience, brings even more credibility to LA's staff. The group pointed out that with a young core including Bronny James, Dalton Knecht, Colin Castleton, and Maxwell Lewis, this type of move mattered. These aren't just end-of-the-bench guys anymore. The Lakers need to develop reliable contributors, and someone like Robinson could quietly play a significant role in doing just that. Again, it's not the kind of news that dominates the A-block, but as one of the analysts said, these are the foundational moves that build sustainable success, especially when paired with a head coach like JJ Redick, who values growth, detail, and development just as much as game planning and rotation. So, while all the attention might be on Quentyn Grimes, Bradley Beal, or whatever the next trade rumor may be, this subtle addition to the coaching staff might pay long-term dividends for the Lakers. That's going to do it for this edition of First Talk. Drop your thoughts. Should LA go all in on the Grimes deal? How do you feel about the team's off-court strategy heading into the season? As always, we'll keep an eye on every update and bring it straight to you. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time.